All right, so today, she started filming a little early. We got a 93 is what the door says, so I'm gonna go 93 C1500 Chevrolet. Back up, show it to them. Don't look like much. There's a lot of parts here for this truck. About 15, 16, $18,000 worth, like a lot of stuff. We got full QA1 suspension, big brake kit front and rear from Little Shop. I don't know if it's the big brake or like the slotted drilled replacements. I haven't even opened the box yet to look. We got a set of fat lip Forgiatos 26s for it. We're gonna have to narrow the rear end, and there's more stuff. I can't remember what all. Oh, we're rebuilding the complete front end. He's got all new control arms in the back bed. We're gonna do the coilovers in the front, QA1. I've done those on Michael Brandon's truck. If you remember that video, the white one with the supercharged LS in it. We're gonna do the same coilover setup on this truck, I believe. I haven't unboxed it yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what I got. We also have billet body mounts for this thing because he's got a rowdy motor getting built for this thing. It don't look like much at the moment, but it's fixing to kind of do like the caterpillar that goes into the cocoon and becomes a butterfly. And he said, I said, "You mind if I film it?" He said, "Hell yeah, I want you to film it. I want the world to see this." So we're gonna show it to him. But first things first, we got to get him on the lift and get some stuff took off so that we can fit some wheels, make sure figure out how much we need to narrow the rear end, all that stuff. And then the rear end is going to another guy to get built, center section. Why are you looking at me like that?
It's just my face.
You're looking at me like
My mouth was closed, thank you.
Anyway, so we're gonna get it in here on the lift tonight and stick the back wheels on and just kind of see where we at with the narrowed. I did put a flip kit on this truck a while back with a C-notch, and then after I done that, he decided that he wanted to do the QA1 stuff. So we're still gonna use the notch, but the flip kit will be coming back off. So let's jump in. Ready? You ready? You ready? No, you're not ready. You sure? I'm ready. Let's go. All right, first things first, we put this wheel on, and it does not fit. That's all. So we knew we was going to narrow the rear end, but we wasn't sure how much. I'm going to reference the inside of this fender lip right here and go over, and this is about 3 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to say 4, that way it don't rub. And then if it is really close, we can always go back and remove a little bit of that fender lip. It's the same on both sides. We had to put bed bolts in, make sure the bed was square. We got all that done before we put the wheels on. And there's a lot of parts getting thrown in this truck. So we got complete QA1 suspension, brakes, everything. There's a lot. So we're gonna mock this thing completely up and make sure everything's gonna fit together before we pull this rear end out and narrow it. Because if we over narrow it and none of the QA1 suspension fits, or the brakes don't fit, then why did this man spend all this money? Oh, and that's also not all the way down. It's gonna sit on the tire. Also, last year I went in when we first got started on this thing and put a C-notch in it and a Beltec flip kit. And now that we have the QA1 kit, it comes with its own notch. So we get to remove that. Yay. Alright, so we got this thing tore apart. We got all the leaf springs off. The rear end's loose, it's just hanging there. I'm gonna take the cutoff wheel and cut these e-brake cables off because we've got a disc brake kit going on and there's not a hookup in it for e-brake cables, so we're just gonna delete those. The rear end's got, I think we got to cut some shock mounts off. We got to do a bunch of stuff to this thing. But the problem I'm dealing with right this minute is I've already put this Beltec C-notch in it, and the kit comes with a new notch. It's got some brackets, some different brackets welded to it for the panhard bar and the coilover mounts. And the problem with that is the template that you use to mark the notch bases off of the factory bump stop bolts, which, as you can see, is no longer there. So I may wait and call them tomorrow and see if they can give me a measurement from like somewhere else and kind of go from there. Also, this frame doesn't have a rear cross member in it. It was like this whenever I got the truck.
The truck was in pieces when you got
the frame is really flimsy. I've got to measure. I'm going to measure on the bed how far these holes are apart and get a porta power or something and push them out and weld a cross member in just to hold it in place. And then whenever he gets the fuel cell that he wants to run, we can build a better mount. But right now, that's where we're at. I may go ahead and take the notch out and see how that other one fits with the hole that's already cut and go from there.
Okay, question.
Ma'am.
Is this frame supposed to go in like that?
Yeah, it is to an extent, but not as bad as it is. It's about an inch in right now.
Oh.
Because when I had the bed on earlier, I had to pry it out to get the bed bolts in it. It's flimsy enough that you can move it. Ooh, okay,
Oh
maybe
shoot,
not.
Daddy.
Let me not do that right now.
Daddy, yeah. Oh.
But anyway, it's flimsy enough that you can pull it out a little bit. But I want to measure it, push it out, and weld something in so it can't move. I should probably do that first, if I'm being honest. And
Okay.
I may just weld something across the top just to hold it. So
Okay.
it's getting late though.
Yeah,
I've about had enough for tonight. It's like 90-something degrees out here already.
it is.
And it's still just began spring.
Yeah,
Summer's gonna be rough.
because it snows. Now we're going to have a 113-degree summer, you know?
Yeah, and I got pants on. So
Okay,
short
say bye.
tomorrow.
We'll come back.
All right, so I showed y'all last night this rear frame is pinched. I took a bottle jack and laid it down with a board and tried to push it out, but when you get the bottle jack laying down flat, it won't pump fluid. And I've never really tried to use one laying down, so I didn't know that, but I learned it. And I've been needing to buy a porta power for a while, so when I got off today, I went to Harbor Freight, grabbed a Daytona 10-ton, and yeah, that's a unit right there. That sun gun weighs about 100 pounds. That's all I could do to get it up in the back of the truck. But we're gonna break this out, see if we can get it jigged up, push this frame rail out, and take this 1x1 and just temporarily weld it in to hold it in place. And yeah. So we got this ram in here. We pushed it out. I took some measurements last night. I crawled under the bed, measured from center bed bolt hole to center bed bolt hole, and it was 34 1/4. So we just pushed it out till we got 34 1/4. Frankie helped me measure it. He welds every day, so I trust his measurements. And we just welded this 1x1 in. We're gonna weld it a little bit more, but that's gonna hold it everything like it needs to be, so that we can take this ram out. And then when we get ready to put a fuel cell back here, we'll weld a big heavy-duty cross member in, like some 2x4 or something, and then base our fuel cell mounts off of that. But for right now, this 1x1 should do just fine. All right, so we got the old notch out. We got this new notch clamped in. There is a factory bolt hole right here for this bracket for the e-brake that lines up, 2 of them. So that gives us a reference mark at the back to line up, and then we just clamped it where it needed to be. It's flush up against the bottom of the frame here. Got clamps pulling it up and in right here, and I'm gonna mark all my holes. As you can tell, this notch is way smaller than the Beltec one. So we got a hole there that we're not gonna be able to drill because of the right there, because where we notched it before. But anyway, if 9 won't hold it, 10 never would. So we're gonna get some holes marked here and start drilling. All right, so we got the driver's side notch in. Like I said, we based it off of these 2 holes for the brake line bracket, and got those in there. Got all the holes drilled, all of them except this one right here, because it was just gonna be in the middle of it, so I didn't see a point in it. And we got the other bottom ones drilled, and we got to go do the other side. This is not step number 1 in the directions, but I wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way because it was the part I was most nervous about, being it already had the other notch in it. But now I must stop to play basketball. She told me I had to. All right, so I am currently several hours into installing these notches. I don't know if it would have been faster with it not already being cut, but I got them in. It's a ton of drilling. I've blowed the floor off twice. That side's still clean because I blew it off after I finished, but I've got metal shavings in all kinds of places. And now that the notches are in, I can go back and start at the beginning of the instructions. This was like step number 7 or 8. So we got to cut some shock mounts off the rear end. I know that. We got to do some more stuff. This upper shock mount's got to be cut off. It's riveted on, and that's always fun. So I've got a rivet down here, a rivet here, and one here. About the easiest way I found is take a cut off wheel, just cut them off flush with the frame, and then take the air chisel and knock them down. I'm gonna go get the directions and go back to step one after I blow this floor off. And I don't know about y'all, but I hate walking on metal where I've been drilling because you get stuck all in your shoes and you track it all in the house. And, yeah.
This is only slightly alarming. And this is hauling you going 75 down the highway.
Almost got a little too aggressive there and really dumped it off.
Lord have mercy.
One finger.
It's pretty impressive. What if it just nosedived off of it?
What's it gonna hurt?
True.
My feelings.
It needs a paint job anyways.
It's gonna get one. This guy has spent plenty of money, and I don't think he's gonna stop.
No? Can't have them big nice wheels on there.
I'm really scared that they're not gonna fit.
Why?
I need to narrow the rear end 4 inches on each side, and I don't think I have 4 inches. That's why I'm mocking everything up before I pull the rear end out to narrow it.
Well.
Alright, so next day we back out here working on this thing. The front shock mount on the passenger side, on the driver's side is behind the rear end. It can stay, but this one has to go. So we take the rivets. I just cut through them with a cut-off wheel. There's one on top, two on the bottom. I already cut the ones on the bottom too. Take my grinder, I'm gonna grind this flush, and then I'm gonna hit it with a hammer. If I can't get it to pop out, then I will get the air chisel and knock them through. But air chisel's so loud, I hate freaking using it. But we'll get it off of there and get it thrown in the trash and on to the next step. All right, so I got the shock bracket off. Next, I got to get these front hangers off, and I had the lift under them. So I just grabbed me some 1x1. I tacked it to the back of the frame, both sides, to hold it up so I can let the lift down. And now we're going to do the same thing with these rivets. We're going to cut them off and get those hangers out of there because we got new ones with the kit. So it's 4 rivets on each one, and I'm gonna cut a bunch of lines in them, and then take the air chisel, pop the head of them off, and then take a hammer and knock them off of there. All right, so we got this front hanger on the passenger side. It aligns with the rear holes of the factory hanger. So here would have been your front 2 rivets, and this is your 2 rear ones. This is now the front for this bracket, and we got to drill 2 holes, 7/16. And my kid's gonna give us a concert. Come on, let's go.
Okay. So, tell them the song so you can go listen to it. They're
Akon, So Lonely.
Wait, hold on. Oh, lonely. I'm so lonely.
All right, we got both front hangers installed. Next, we got to do some drilling on the leaf spring perches on the rear end. So I got to get this thing rolled up. We're gonna get to the top of that, and I'll show you kind of how to do that next. All right, so next you got to drill these perches on the rear end. The kit comes with these plates. It's got a little nipple on it that goes in the factory hole, and then you just line it up and drill your holes. What I did is I took a small drill bit, centered it, drilled all the way through. Then I took a unibit, hollered it out to a 1/2 inch, and then I come back with my 5/8, and I only had just a little bit to take off and run it through there, and voila. Now we gotta go do the other side. That's terrible. Feeling already? Yeah. All right, so we gotta put the axle brackets on next. We drilled the holes for those. The panhard bar mount goes on the passenger side, and these just sandwich around these spring pads that we drilled earlier, and the bolts are going to come right up through the holes. You do not put a washer on the bottom, put a washer on the top. It only comes with 4, so if you use all of them. Sorry about your look. And then once you get them on, just tighten them evenly so that the thread sticking out top of the bolts is pretty even, like that one over there. You see it? You don't want the front with like a bunch of threads in the back, because then your bracket's going to be crooked on the rear end. So there's a 15 centimeters. We're just going to snug it up. I got to pull on. all this back off to narrow the rear end anyway. So it's gonna come off, so there's no point really torquing it. But once you do torque it, it's like 148 foot-pounds, I believe. I mean, this impact's about to fight. I got one of those batteries that won't stay tight. Alright. Brackets on the rear end. Let's go see what's next. Alright, so next was the shock mounts. These curve in. Most of the time you only got one bracket like this, and then the shocks curve out, and you know, you only have like one bolt that goes through both of them. These are different, so they curve in. You got 4 3/8 bolts, washers and nuts on both sides, and got both sides of that done. And I'm about to stop and go eat some supper with the fam, and we'll be back to jump on the next step in a few minutes. Alright, so next on the directions are we're going to put the link bars together. One side is regular thread, which is this one. One side is backward thread, which is the heim joint. If you can't figure that out, just look at the threads. You'll be able to tell which one goes uphill, which one doesn't. So if you thread it to the left, it's going to get farther in. Backwards thread. It'll only thread in one end, obviously, because, well, that's the way it's made. It says on the directions to thread them in as far as possible and use anti-seize. I'm going to go ahead and put anti-seize on them because once I put these together, I have no reason to take them back apart to anti-seize them. So now I must go find it and put all these together. So, and there's a breakdown diagram here that shows you kind of how all these misalignment spacers go in here, blah, blah, blah. You'll have directions for yours, so you'll be able to figure it out, but I'll show you when we get to that point. And yeah, very simple. We just have to assemble 2 of those and keep rolling. And as you know, this stuff is the devil. You use a little bit, because if you don't use a little bit, you'll use a lot, and it'll be all over you. And by all over you, I mean you'll be wearing that crap for 2 or 3 days because you can't get it off. So we got these started. We're going to glob a little bit on there and thread them in as far as we can and go from there. Maybe if we can get it off with one hand. So yeah. And ka-chow. And ka-chow. And there we go. Aw, I got it on the link bar. Now it's doomed to get all over me. And I got it on my finger already. Wish me luck. Oh, and also, if you're an idiot like me, you have to put these lock nuts on there. After I threaded it all the way in, I realized we had those. Yeah, so don't forget to put those on. Alright, so next we got the lower link bars on both sides. The directions say a good starting point is 21.5 inches from center hole to center hole. That's where we set ours at on both sides. We stuck a bolt through them on the table and made sure they were even. And we got that. We also started in the center hole of each bracket. That's the center hole. And this is center hole. Also, if you wanted to use these 2 holes, you would have to go in and drill a hole inside the frame to clear the nut, because there's not enough clearance there. But they don't address that in the directions. I guess that's just something you kind of have to figure out on your own. But yeah, so these 2 top holes, there's not enough gap there to get a nut in. You would have to drill holes, but the third one is actually up under the frame, so it works out. Next is to take the differential cover off, drain all the fluid out, because we have a rear diff cover that's going to go on there. And I'm really not prepared to do that tonight. I've had about enough for tonight. And yeah, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and call it a night and come back tomorrow and do that. I would also like to hang the shock so that I can pick this thing up in the air and do the diff cover standing up instead of laying on my creeper up under there. But we'll see. We'll see what we figure out on that. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. So, alright, so we're back the next day. As you can tell, we had a little mess there. I drained all the fluid out last night. And apparently my drain bucket was fuller than I thought it was, so some of it spilled over. And then me being lazy last night, I didn't go ahead and put oil dry on it. So that little puddle turned into a huge puddle. You know how they do. But anyway, next we're gonna install this QA1 engine cover. We're mocking all this up to see how much room we have to narrow the rear end. So once you put it on for the final time, you're supposed to use a certain kind of thread sealant, or I'm sorry, sealant, and then blue thread locker on the bolts, but we're not going to do that now because this has got to come back apart. Once I figure out how much it's got to be narrowed and narrow it, it's going to another guy to have gears and all put in and a locker. So there's no point in installing all of it correctly now because it's just got to come right back apart. So I'm gonna get this mocked up and then we're ready for the next step. All right, we got our rear diff cover bolted on. Next, we have to assemble the shocks. You've seen me do this on a bunch of videos. You need to peel the sticker off, and we got to put our collars on. So this is our jam nut collar. It's gonna go on first, and then we got a washer. It's gonna go on, and then your lower coil mount collar is gonna go on. This will be up because your coil spring will rest over this. And then once you get all that together, this will just slide over the top, and that's what holds the coil spring in. I'm not going to be able to do it and hold this camera, so I'm going to throw these together and I will show you what it looks like. Do not forget to put your anti-seize on there, or these will gall up and not be adjustable. All right, I got these assembled. Also, the kit comes with spanner wrenches so you can adjust them. I just run them all the way down. See, I got anti-seize on them. Don't forget that. That's very important. I run them all the way down so it was easier to get this collar on. Then once I got the collar on, I stood the shock upside down and I just run this up by hand until it touched. Now it's going to need some more preload than that once we get it all together, but I want to get the weight on it, and then I will do a final ride height set and all whenever we get the truck together. So, which is going to be kind of tricky on this truck because it's not going to have a motor and all in it, and it's not going to have weight and batteries and all that stuff. But once he gets to the point where he's ready to drive it, all he's got to do is get with me. We'll go back over it and set everything and get him right. Now I got to go figure out which bolts go in there. What you doing? All right, so your coilovers go on like this. Found the bolts. I don't remember exactly the size, directions will tell you. But on the lower mount, you have to use a little bitty spacer that goes in right here on each side. The top does not get that, just the bottom. So you only have 4 of these, so be your 2 on the bottom. And we're gonna go hang this other side. And then it's time to start putting the trailing arm stuff together. We got one more cross member we gotta put in. Part of it's gonna be under the cab. It's gonna be a pain, but we're gonna get it. All right, so next is the front radius arm, cross member, whatever you wanna call it. The directions say to clamp it to this cross member and line these holes up. There's a big hole and a little hole. You line them up, put a clamp around it, and then you have to drill 4 holes there. They make this nice little bracket, slides over. You just start the nut, tighten it. The reason for this bracket is they say you can install this kit with the bed off the truck. I would never attempt that because it takes 10 minutes to take a bed off, but these are made to slide over between the bed floor and here so that you don't have to try to get in there with a wrench and hold a nut. So that's nice of them. Now we got to get in there and drill some holes. I am not looking forward to this part. All right, so I got the truck picked up now. It's kind of hard to see. So we got to clamp this to the frame and drill these 2 holes, and then it comes with a template for the bottom holes. But on my truck here, I had to unbolt this exhaust hanger. It was hidden, so we're going to do away with that, and then we're going to get a big clamp and clamp this to the frame and drill those 2 holes. I need to check this side, make sure there's nothing there. This truck's pretty stripped, but if you got a truck that's got underglow lights or something like that, there may be some wiring, or bag truck. Well, no, not bag truck because you're putting coilovers on it, so it wouldn't be bagged anymore. Never mind. Anyway, you just need to check the backside and make sure that there's nothing that you're about to drill through. All right, so we got it clamped to the frame and we got it clamped down so that we don't get these holes too high. So we're about to pop those out to 7/16. And then once we get those, I'll show you how the template works to drill the bottom holes. All right, so here we go. We got these holes drilled, and I just, to ease the filming of showing you, I just put the nuts on the cardboard. That way you can just see, you just fold it over. And then you reach in your pocket, you get your handy dandy Sharpie out. That's right, you got a Sharpie in your pocket, don't you? You really call yourself a fabricator if you don't have one? Come on now. So I got that marked. Now I got to drill the holes through there. This bracket is pulled away from the frame a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the nuts, get this template out of the way, and then I'm going to tighten this to pull it all the way to the frame. That way when I drill my holes, they should be in the center of these holes up here. Should. If this template is correct, they will be. Alright, and this is what you'll look like when you get it all bolted together. I got my bolts going up. These are going out. I don't think that matters. This is the way the direction showed them. So that's the way I put them. If you put them in from the outside, I don't really see where it would matter either. So, and we got the mount looks like it's faced the wrong way, but I'm assuming that it works fine. I don't know. We'll figure it out in a minute. Okay, so next we're gonna start assembling the torque arm, and we've got a bunch of stuff going on here. All right, so you have an adjustment collar here. This is gonna be to set your pinion angle once you get it all together. This is a left-hand thread, this is right-hand thread, so whenever you get it on, you will break this these two jam nuts loose and turn this, and that will allow you to set your pinion angle. This one is a standard thread. It's going to thread all the way in according to the directions, and we're going to thread these all the way in according to the directions. Bottom out. Do not forget your anti-seize. You need that. Wear gloves, or you'll have it all over you. I'm about to put mine on right now. You cool over? Are you filming already? All right, so we got our track bar hung. Come right here, you can see that we got our bolts just stuck in there, because like I say, I got to pull this rear end back out, so there's no point in tightening everything. Everything's just started. Up here, we have the front pivot. It's kind of a weird setup. I was kind of expecting it to be solid mounted to this cross member. I was wondering how they were going to get it there. But it's a torque arm, and I keep forgetting that. It's not a 3-link. So this actually can move backwards or forwards with the cycle of the suspension. It's kind of weird, but it works. And then it has this stabilizing bar here, and you can adjust this over forward, but it keeps this from being able to walk around. You got to drill 2 holes here for the bracket for it. Are you looking? Right here.
Oh, sorry. It's barely dripping, and about the time my arm went under it, it dripped down and got off.
Anyway, there's a bracket here. I looked all in the directions. I can't find anywhere where it actually says it's supposed to be. So I just made it square off here and popped 2 holes in the frame. Got 3/8 bolts go in there, and voila. And this 3-link is essentially mocked up, minus the panhard bar, which we're about to tackle now. And this one has 2 bars. It's got a panhard bar and a what they call it, a brace bar. So we're gonna go over here and figure out the layout on that. The only thing on this entire kit that I am missing so far is there's a misalignment spacers that go in these small heims, and I'm missing one. And I haven't lost it because I dumped everything that was in the bag on the table, and it's all in a pile, and it's not there. So I'm going to call them Monday, see if they can get me one out, which is it's okay, because this truck is not like, he's not fixing to drive it home, obviously. No motor, no transmission, no drive shaft. You know, so it's not a big deal. We'll get one, and we'll put it in there when we do our final install. So the rear end's got to come back out, but I need to do the panhard bar, and then I need to do the disc brake conversion so I can just see how much room, I've been talking about this whole time, how much room I have to narrow the rear end. It's looking like 3.5 inches is going to be super tight, and I really need 4 to not have to trim the bed lip. But we'll figure it out. Am I dark? Can you see me?
Barely.
Barely? I'm sorry, maybe you can hear me. All right, let's do the panhard bar. All right, so it's been a couple days. We went buggy riding yesterday. Got my buggy out, put a new battery in it, Rants. Thanks for caring and picking on me about my buggy not moving. So there, it's moved, and it runs. And then today we had to go buy a refrigerator in the next town over. We went and bought it, came all the way back, unboxed it, and the whole front was busted. So then we had to go back over there, and they didn't have that one, so we had to get another one. And then we finally just got it all set up, and now it's 8:30 on a Sunday night, and I'm about to tear these brakes apart. I took the shoe off already. I've got to get the axle out, so I got to pull this cover back off, which is just, bolts are just run up, and then pull this axle out, get these brakes off so I can start mocking up the little shop kit on this side so I can see how much room I have here to narrow. The way it's looking, I may have to cut this perch off, narrow the rear end, and then weld it back on, which is going to be fun. But it may be necessary. And by cutting this off and narrowing the rear end, I should be able to move it in about a 1/2 inch, because it's not gonna cause any excessive binding here. And we've got a heim joint back here at this end, and we've got plenty of room around the shock here to move it in just a hair. And that way we can get this rear end as narrow as we need it to fit the wheel, because I would rather move that over just a hair than have this wheel rubbing the outside of the bed, because that would be terrible. So yeah, let me get this tore apart, and I'll show you kind of how I do that. Give me just a minute. Alright, so I got all this mocked up, and it's not working out real good. I don't have 4 inches from here to here. I only got about 3, and the bolt would be touching that. I could rotate it up when I cut the end of the axle off, rotate it. But what I'm going to try first is I'm going to pull this back apart, flip the bracket to the front, and move this caliper to the front, and just kind of see where that puts me. This caliper has a bleeder on the bottom and the top, so you can run it either way. Your line's going to come in on the center, so you just bleed on whichever side's up. I'm going to flip this real quick and just kind of see what I got. It may be hitting the link bar. I don't know. Just got to mock it up and see. So, be back in just a second. It's really tight. It's just not a lot of room because of how big the lip is on these wheels. It's got to be narrowed a little more than what I was planning. I figured 1.5 inches like the last set I did, but this one's going to take a lot more, so we'll see. So we got the bracket flipped. We got the brakes at the front. It looks like it's going to give us the room that we need. So I mentioned earlier that I'm thinking about cutting this pad off and moving it over 1/2 inch. As we currently are right here, this bolt is about 3 3/4 to the bar. We don't want it touching, so just say 3.5 would be a good safe number. And then to the body of the shock is about 3 3/4 also. So if I can move this over 1/2 inch, that'll give me the room I need. I'm thinking what I'm going to end up having to do is go about 3 3/4 on the narrowed axle. And this stuff is going to be super tight. But, I mean, that's what it takes to fit these gigantic wheels and big brakes and, 3-link suspensions and everything. So, what I was referring to is cutting this off, moving it over about 1/2 inch, which will put it, that's only just this far. So I may end up going 3/4 of an inch. I don't know yet. That's just going to move this stuff in just a little bit on both sides. It'll be fine, I promise. The biggest thing I would have to worry about is this coilover hitting the frame, and I've got almost about 1 3/8 inches there, so I know that won't be a problem. So that's just looking like what I'm going to end up having to do. The brake line runs out the center right here, so I've got plenty of clearance above the bar if it comes straight out, but it's going to come out and go to this bracket on the back side right here. I just flipped the bracket. The bracket is normally supposed to go to the front. You see it?
Nope. I'm struggling.
So your bracket's supposed to go to the front, but we flipped the brake, so we're going to come to the back. And with a custom application like this, you can run them however. With the rear end being narrowed, we're going to have to build new brake lines anyway, so, it is what it is. But if you were doing this on a street truck and you had a stock rear end and a stock frame and you didn't have all this other crap to contend with, everything in that kit would work meant for you. So, like I say, we're trying to battle clearance issues, and this coilover was our biggest issue with the brakes. I think we're going to be all right, though. So, it's going to be a lot of cutting, a lot of measuring, a lot of angle finder, a lot of stuff. With that being said, I'm going to end this video here because it's already pretty long. And you see, there's a lot goes into this stuff that people don't see. I didn't film a while ago when I took that rear cover off and didn't have anything under the differential, and I thought I dumped it off the lift. Because when I took that last bolt out, the rear end said boom, and the diff cover went backwards and about hit me in the face. So appreciate y'all checking it out. This is going to be like a multi-video build, so yeah, I'll go ahead and get this first one up for y'all. I didn't get anything posted this weekend, so yeah. Will Woods, 4G Autos, 26s, narrow brakes, coilover front suspension. It's a lot. Thank y'all for checking it out. Appreciate you. Y'all come back for the next one. Hit the subscribe button, people. We're growing. Ever since we had our little rant the other day, it's getting bigger and bigger. We done gained about 600 people off of that one little rant. Good, ain't it? All right. Appreciate y'all.